The Sutter family farm, located about 15 minutes northeast of Viking, Alberta, and where at the end of every hockey season you'll find the head coach of the Calgary Flames in his true element. Flames TV is On the Farm with Daryl Sutter, presented by Meridian Manufacturing.
We have 19 quarters in here of land. It's almost 3,000 acres that we have in here, and this was where Dad and Mom obviously raised us boys. And so I promised Dad before he passed that it would stay in a Sutter name, and it is, and it will. After season, we were always home, and we always had a few cows or some land, but we've gotten bigger over the years, and so that it can sustain and exist and be here for a long time. It becomes part of you, I think, especially everything that's gone on in the world. One of the things I think a lot about is feeding the world. I know when I get up in the morning that we've got a lot to do about educating the world about where food comes from. It comes from here. There's about 450 head right now, throw in the horses, and we took off over 500 acres of hay and alfalfa, and there's 700 acres to combine, and then there's probably about 1,200 acres of pasture. So lots of work. My schedule is different than, I got to get a lot more done in a shorter period of time always, so you have to manage your time and your equipment and know what's going on, and because really with the guys that are harvesting or weeding cattle, they have till Christmas, depending on weather. I don't. I have till Labor Day. So that's what we do. At the end of the day, it's what keeps you grounded. You know what it's like in the winter with our travel and schedule and pressures of winning and losing and what going on with with the way the game is. But this always still, you can take yourself right back in a minute. I can sit on an airplane and start thinking about this, and I'm good.
Absolutely.
I don't need to know nothing. I could just be here.
Yeah. Oh,
I come home in springs when you get feet older, you're not happy about somebody's coming. So I did all this by hand, right? This was all storage. It was like there was no dry goods store. So I just gutted it all and then redid it. I friggin' found stuff and built my bed. Then I drilled a well and put plumbing and electricity, and then guys come in the winter when they're snowmobiling. They're hunters stay here all the time. So you can see 40 miles in every direction. Just think 1,000 years ago when this country was covered with buffalo, where they could see the herds.
Yeah.
So then you come here and they'd have and then look, everywhere you look. This is all right from where you turned on the highway, all the way to the end of that, almost to that water down there is ours. There's things you can touch every day that my dad touched, which is important to me. We did a lot of the work together, so there's still old fences and the older buildings around that you can remember doing, working on it or painting it or putting a nail in it, or you walk by posts and see a spike that, I can remember Dad pounding that spike, or we'll go fix fence and we'll go through bush fence, and I remember when I was a little boy, that's 50 years ago, we were going through that same bush fixing that fence. This is where the dirty work's done. Calvin. Cows are having just the hospital. I spent all one winter in here, actually, by myself. Juan and Chris were in Calgary. It was after San Jose. So our tack rooms, keep our saddles, break everything. We used to spend a lot of time in here when we were kids.
What are these sticks from the...
They were ones that were up in the barn from when we were kids. And when I cleaned this up and built this, I put them sticks. There's some old sticks there. Like Dad was a big box. That's heavyweight champions of the world up until, and then it says Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
And Dad could tell you every one of the heavyweight champions. He was a boxer himself. Everything in here has something unique. It was either grade 8 or grade 9 I did that.
Is that right?
And Mom had saved it for, and then when I went to Chicago, I played with Tony.
That's right.
So I made that. There was a picture in, I think it was Sports Illustrated, because it was his rookie year, and Tony still has the record. I think he had 15 shutouts in his rookie year.
Right.
And he was like, Chicago was my team, and he was like my guy.
That's your guy. And then you got to
And then
play
I
with
got
him.
to play with him. That tells you how long since the Leafs won a Stanley Cup. That's a signed, every player signed that in 1967, every player. And Pulley, who was my boss in Chicago, Bob Pulford,
Yeah.
and my dad became good friends. So Pulley sent that to him. Like that shouldn't be on this wall. There's 6 generations of us in Alberta now. So we were here before Alberta was a province, 1903 or 4, depending on who you talk to. But so we've been here a long time, and it matters. The big thing I think about now is who's the next step. Our oldest granddaughter spends a lot of time here and has a lot of interest in all the horse part and the cattle part and the being out away from everybody part. So this we're all in bales and everything are out there, way over there.
Yeah.
That's ours. But any place you see bales is ours. In this yard, you did the work first, and then you got to play this sportive season. So it was either a football game here, or a ball game up behind this house, or a hockey game on the slough, or a hockey game up the hayloft. But you did everything first. So you learned teamwork because there were 7 of us. So you learned the teamwork, that part of it. There wasn't like there was a leader. That would have been Dad and Mom. We just got the work done, and then the better we were at it, then we got to play a sport. That's a picture of all 6 of us when we used to run the Sylvan Lake hockey camp. And so we were all playing in the NHL then, and they would always have a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So then it was this team won the Centennial Cup, so that was Brent, Ronnie, and Richie.
Yeah.
And we were all playing in the NHL. So that'd be Brian, me, and Dog.
No way.
And they'd have a night and it's funny in the picture, I can still pick out people that I know some of my neighbors. It was unique for us the first time that we were in Calgary in the early 2000s. As much as we were a hockey family, we were an Alberta family, right? And it wasn't like, for us it was never Oilers versus Flames. They were NHL. Like I remember when they both got NHL teams, so, we went, that was a special day for me. I got to go see the old Alberta Oilers play in the WHA, play a game, and meet a couple of guys after. One was Ross Perkins from Wainwright down the road here, and that was special. That was like, wow. Bobby was my hero.
Was he?
He was my hero, Bobby Hull. Yeah. I practiced my slap shot because I wanted to shoot like Bobby Hull. That's he's a young guy in Chicago.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Unbelievable.
These are good pictures too, these Chicago ones that we had a good team here.
Yeah.
Like he was a general manager, he was a head coach, general manager, he's a general manager. Bruce Boudreau, head coach. Eddie Olchuk, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Steve Ludzik, head coach. Mark Bergevin. Our fans are just as important as the players are. When they tell me something or say something, you can run into them on the street and they'll give you some, what they think is advice, and they're usually right. And you think, well, yeah, Brendan was right. I got to try that. We're fortunate to have the newer arena in town. We're fortunate to have 2 banks. We're fortunate to have a good hospital. We got 5 churches, so we got big elevators. So it still thrives, even though most people go out of town to shop. I can go into town and I can talk to people in their 90s or talk to people that are little kids, and they're not talking to you about hockey. They're talking about how you're making out there, what's going on at the farm, and things like that. They want to know it's a community. That's what it's about, and we take care of each other. That's what we do. If somebody has a problem, we take care of each other. Within 4 hours, you're here. And even though once hockey starts, you're lucky if you might get home for a night at Christmas or something, but you still know that your family's close. There's still marks in the barn that I can remember that Dad did with the hammer, or that one of us boys did, and things like that. Hey, that's special.